Yo, what's up? Welcome to a new Think Social podcast. And I'm Luis, I'm your host, and my job here is interview top marketers, top digital entrepreneurs, and top performers who will teach you how to make money online and will help you with your business. Today I have a very special guest. And if you run an e-commerce business, if you run a B2B business, or you're a media buyer, you might hear about him on the internet. Well, he's Nick Shackleford, and he's an ex-Apple marketer. He's also the co-founder of a digital agency called Structure Social, based in California and the US, and he works with more than 185 brands. Also, he spent around more than 100 million in Facebook ads himself. So I have to say, Nick knows his stuff. And he's going to teach you his best advice and mistakes on advertising here in this podcast. I found him a year ago on YouTube, and he was collaborating with Founder Magazine. And I learned so much from him about Facebook ads that I have to say that I got an ROI just watching his free YouTube videos. This guy is amazing. And so let's start with the podcast. And if you're not subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe so you can get notifications when new episodes are released. And also you can follow me on social media for more content, videos, and tutorials on digital marketing. Links are in the description. And yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, let's roll with this new episode. Okay, so I have Nick Shackleford. He's such a good man, and I just DM him on Instagram, and he said yes. So yes, welcome, Nick. And before we start, maybe you can introduce yourself and tell people what do you do. Maybe people don't know you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Luis, for having me on, man. So I'm a longtime entrepreneur that just started doing it because I didn't have the confidence in myself until someone's like, dude, why not? Why not you? Why not now? Why don't you go for it? So we have three companies currently. First one is Structured. Structured's about 56 employees, and it's just digital advertising. So it's obviously in the area that you know very well. We run ads on Facebook, we run ads on Pinterest, Snapchat, we do email, SMS, and we only work with direct-to-consumer brands. Second would be Constant Creative, and that's with 2Ks. And we make edits because obviously there's a major change in the space right now, and it used to be targeting and crazy strategies, and now it's heavy content, right? How much content can you make and how frequently you can get that out? So we make tons of edits. And the last business we have, which is probably my favorite one, is called Geek Out. And we meet up all around. We were just in Miami last week and talking about what's working, talking about businesses, helping other businesses. And this is kind of why you do your podcast, right? You want to share information, you want to share knowledge, because if it's working for me or if it's working for you, it should work for everybody. So you have to share that info. And that's my favorite one. And we've been missing people because the pandemic made everybody leave each other and couldn't see anybody. And so bringing people back together, it makes me super happy, man.
Awesome, man. So you're more like a serial entrepreneur, right?
Now I am. It took me a long time. It took me 30 years to figure out that I like doing this.
Awesome, man. And well, we can talk first about your day. Maybe as an entrepreneur, you have your 24 hours as everyone else have. And yeah. So what do you do every day that makes your day 1% better?
That's a great question. For me, I'm a morning person. So the way that my calendar is structured, I live and die by my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it won't get done. So between 5:45 and 8 a.m., that is thought work. So I'm up, ready to move before 5:45. So I usually get out of bed around 5:30. At that point, it's not a matter of like the earlier you're up, the more you get to work. I do my best work and thought work and I have most energy in the morning. At night, I usually kind of taper down. So it's 4:45 right now. So I'm starting to get a little bit tired. I know my energy, I know my body. First thing is I make my espresso. My favorite thing, I got to pull a nice espresso, of course. And I walk my dogs. So I have two dogs. You probably hear snoring right here. And it's
Yeah.
generally gets a little bit warmer. So my first morning is coffee, clear my head, check a couple messages, but I don't do it in the bed. And then I sit down at the computer around 8 a.m. And that way, anybody on the East Coast or anybody that we're working with abroad, I'm kind of walking into other conversations. So I do my best to get my time, make sure I'm good. Because if you can't help yourself, there's no way you can help your team or your clients or your brands. And then for the rest on, it's usually back to back with meetings until about 2:30, 2:45 in the day. And that's where I kind of break again and get back into actual work that I need to do until about right now, we're about 4:30. And after 4:30, I get back to more calls and more working with the team.
Awesome, man. So you're like a morning person.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm not productive at night. No, nothing gets done for me at night.
And why did you decided to just move from doing advertising and paid ads for and to become an entrepreneur?
Honestly, it came to I wanted to control my time. So like you can work and do this from everywhere, and becoming an entrepreneur is in this world right now more than ever. It used to be only who could you work with in your city or in your state. Like it was really difficult to work with people across states, let alone work with other people around the world, let alone talk to people around the world. And we built our companies to be completely remote. So every single person that we're working with is either in the Ukraine, in the Philippines, Canada, obviously United States. So we wanted to see how much we can empower. And if you think about the agency model or just the decentralized way of growing and building a team, we empower brands. These brands empower employees. These employees are most likely feeding their family from this role and job. And then there's the manufacturing teams that get paid because they're able to fulfill the product. And then there's manufacturing or fulfillment on stateside and overseas and abroad. So as the entrepreneur, like my mission turned away from not having to make as much money. Like we have enough money to live. That's a blessing. How do we give more people the ability to have money to live and make sure that they're building a future for themselves and their family and legacy? I think that's the easiest way for me to put it. Is it started about how much money I can make, and then I realized like it's not about that cash, but I had to get to that point. Like I thought it was all money until I got to the point where like, wait, if I don't need more than this. Like this is all I need. How do we put that money back into building for others? And that was a really hard thing for me to learn as an entrepreneur. Is it's all about how much money can I grow? How much money can I make? Everyone's talking and showing money, but it quickly got away from that once you realize like the actual number you need to live and be happy.
Awesome, and yeah. So when you wake up, what's your intention every day if it's not money? Because I think many entrepreneurs or advertisers are listening to this and they just want to make more money. They want higher ROAS maybe. But what's your intention when you start your day?
Oh, don't get me wrong. Like I love money more just as much as the next person. You have to have you really have to have the money. You have to earn the money to be able to use the money to grow more money. Like that's the easiest sentence I can say. My motivation is like I obviously have 100 employees across multiple businesses. We have two dogs that like love me, support me, and are my best friends. I gotta keep them happy, and I want to make sure that what I'm doing is actually making change in the world, which is what I'm empowering other people around the world. I'm empowering other brands around the world. Maybe I'm fulfilling someone's dream by working with brands or businesses. So a lot of it turns into like a very selfless thing. So my number one thing is how many people are we hiring? We hire one person a week pretty much right now. That's huge. Like that's growing their legacy. That's growing our company's legacy. And that's pretty much the main thing.
Awesome, man. So it's more like a holistic approach, right? You just have a look of everything. You want to make sure you have all covered.
Yeah, it starts with you. You obviously got to be good, but as soon as you're good, then you can make everybody else great.
Awesome, man. Yeah. It's just what I thought. You're like Jesus, man.
Thank you, man.
And yeah, I didn't know you until I saw videos on YouTube with Founder.
Yep.
You have a shared of Founder, and well, how did you met Nathan Chan or the Founder team?
So actually, I got introduced from a woman named Greta. So Greta started Start and Scale, and she's one of the main people that kind of supported me. She's been in my friends group for just over 3 years now, and she was like, "Hey, I think what you're doing is really important. I think you have a great message. I think you're doing it for the right reasons." And she made that introduction to the founder group, and it was personally life changing. Like they gave me an audience, they gave me the support, they allowed me to share my teachings and share my message, and I'm forever grateful for them. And it's all very high level, right? It's very high quality. It's done very, very well, and that's something I can never take for granted.
Yeah, and awesome, Greta. Yeah, you're like teaching e-commerce, right? With Greta,
Yep,
and
e-commerce and then Facebook ads.
awesome. And well, the technology is evolving and making changes every day. So, what other technologies are you guys using on your agency to make more money for your clients?
Great question. We're pretty exclusive with these three tools. So we're all integrated with Google Suite. So we're using, whether it's Google Drive, whether we're using Google Calendar, and then we have Notion. Notion's probably the biggest, where we have a lot of our projects and planning. And then the final thing would be ClickUp. So those three are the main core ones. And obviously Slack is our main communication channel. That would be the big one. Oh, and I take one back. Loom. Loom for video recording has been a big transformation for us, because sometimes we're working in different time zones and you can't explain someone it clear enough. Cool. Make a quick video, send the details, ship it out.
Awesome, man. Um, so ClickUp, it's like more like a project management tool, right?
Correct. ClickUp
Awesome,
would be
man.
the project management, good automations. Notion would be where a lot of like our knowledge bank or knowledge of our teams and projects and agency is there. We don't manage projects there, but we kind of like report and keep everything stored there, more like a wiki. And then obviously Slack and Loom are just like communication tools.
Awesome, man. Yeah, Notion, it's game changer. It's just you can do too much on Notion.
Yeah, it's so simple. I love it.
Awesome, man. And you became an entrepreneur right now, and you have to hire a lot of employees. How do you hire? What are some values you look at people before you hire?
Gratitude. So it's my guiding light for my life and then for this company. So every Monday we do a morning gratitude and promise. So everybody jumps on all around the world, all in team. It's the number one meeting that's the most important. You go, what are you thankful for? And then what do you promise to get done that week? And it's something that I will take for every one of my companies, every group, everywhere I go. Um, and you can tell really early. Like you can tell people that actually are doing it because they enjoy it, or they're doing it because they need a paycheck, right? Like I understand some people need a paycheck, and that's totally awesome. Um, that's just not like what like you have to care about this role specifically, or the role that you're doing, whether you're a designer or you're an executor or you're a communicator or a process person. We truly have to understand that and love that, because we don't care what university you went to, we don't care what company you went to, we don't care who your family is or your reputation, your name. It's what we care about is like, are you going to be honest? Are you going to be able to communicate? Are you going to have kindness and candor? That is the most important thing on hiring. Obviously, you got to have the skills. You got to know exactly what you're doing. You got to be open for feedback and criticism all the time. Like that's the big thing. But you can tell really early on when you have an interview with somebody if they are who they are all the time. Because if they have to change their personality for each person or each whether it's someone above them or someone below them, that's not the person you want. You want the same person with steady Eddie all the way through.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Gratitude. Yeah, you have really good values, man, and you share that just with your voice and not just with your message, but you have a those vibes, you know.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I try to be my best all the time, and sometimes that energy is one thing I like to bring.
Awesome, man. And so in my community, I have a Facebook group where I teach sales. I teach B2B sales, just closing, um, basically that. And a lot of agency owners are just struggling to get client. That's because I asked you that before we started the podcast. So, how are
Yeah.
you getting clients for your agency, and maybe that will be helpful for other agency owners.
So this is, it isn't what we're doing now, but it's what we did at the beginning. Um, Giving away content, giving away free content, or giving away like a consultation is the easiest way of getting someone to at least say yes to you. So I made a lot of my videos on YouTube. You can check, this goes back to 2016, 2017. I was just recording kind of like conversation that we're having right now, of doing audits with the current brands I have. Now you obviously have to get somebody to already win for or do it for free at the beginning. I don't recommend you doing that for very long, but you have to get some sort of case study that you're able to talk through. And then just having very candid conversations with other thought leaders in the space shows that you are a professional. So if you're an agency or if you're a consultant trying to get on, get clients in this, expressing your knowledge or expressing your thoughts or commentary on the industry is the easiest way to show that you, hey, you are plugged in. You do this. Like you are able to kind of convey expertise, whether you're running it or not, but you're able to speak that language. Obviously, you have to deliver those results on those on the back end of that, but you have to sell yourself or position yourself as someone that is an expert authentically. um, I reached out to as many different events that I could to see if I, hey, can I talk? Can I express myself? Can I show what I've done before? And then I realized like that's why we started Geek Out, which is our own event company. We took on the burden. We spent our own money to build a community. We spent our own money to build a platform for myself to talk on, for my partner James to talk on, and for everybody else in my industry. And it's really easy to do. You can do a free event. You can talk about something that you know you're really, really good at, and that should provide you leads.
Awesome. So it's like the Gary Vaynerchuk or like approach.
Have to.
Give content for free. Awesome, man. And you mentioned that you're using YouTube, right? Because if you're using Instagram or Facebook, it's not like the same because it's not the same, right? If you just provide value on Instagram.
No, I think YouTube is a very underutilized tool, and it's really easy to see the main trends. Like if you were to just search digital marketing or Facebook ad strategy, like there's a lot of really, really great ways of just either repurposing or putting your own personality or your own type of content with this type of theme on YouTube. And it's so shareable and searchable. So I would say if you aren't investing time and effort or building a plan or action around this, you're definitely leaving money on the table or losing out an opportunity to be in front of someone. That's where you found me, right?
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Just Google Facebook ads and also founder has nice content, so that's because I just watched the video
Exactly.
and sorry. And who was a big mentor for you on advertising when you just were starting on or when you just were on those days on the
Oh,
learning phase?
my number one. So in the learning days, it was, he's actually my partner now. He's younger than me. His name is Jake Schmidt.
Oh,
Jake Schmidt's been my partner through and through for a very long time. And he, not necessarily in the advertising specifically, but he was like the person that helped me believe in myself to do it. Right. Like we all have really good skills, but we did like, oh, you have doubt or like imposter syndrome or like self terrible talk that everybody has consistently. And he was like, what do you have to lose? Like, what's the worst case that could happen? What is the worst case? Oh, you lose. Okay, cool. Do it again. Right. Like I grew up playing professional soccer and I was used to losing. Like I would lose. But you still had another game. You still had more practice. So on, at least on the self-belief side, it was Jake. But on the actual marketing side, it was two females. One was Annie Castellano, and she was a true creative director, and she was teaching me like positioning and marketing and how to do very creative and unique things. And the next was Rachel Plepke, who was my very first mentor at Pepsi. She allowed me to have conversations that I was definitely not ready for. And she forced me to, what I do now is give me something to respond to. So she was always like, Nick, if you want me to give you your help, you got to do some thought work and you have to give me something to respond to. So even with my employees or even with new hires, before I give any feedback or direction, you got to give me something to respond to, and then I can guide you from there.
okay. Awesome, man. So these two women just taught you how to advertise, and these men taught you on mindset.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. And what would be an advice for people who wants to build an audience on social media? Maybe on the business side, because influencers just make money, but on the business side, and in 2021.
Sure. I think my number one advice would be like, obviously know what you're doing. Like, don't talk about something that you can't respond to, or don't talk about something that you're not actually doing. If you're building it, be a business owner, be a business builder, like be willing to take those risks and spend the money that you need to spend to be the actual expert, or be willing to work for somebody else that's already done it. And so you learn and you be mentored from that. Building your audience there is, this was tough for me to find. Like, I started sharing stuff about my family. I started sharing stuff about my pets. I started sharing stuff about my traveling. And it took me a lot of trial and error. It took me to realize that I'm going to showcase the same exact style of content, which means it's going to be the events we do, the places I travel, and the actual day-to-day lives I share. But on the stories is where I really show the client work, or I'll share some creatives that we're doing, or share something that's like about my business. Is more on the IG stories, because it's that bite-sized stuff that keeps reminding everybody like, hey, I'm here, I'm doing this thing. And it's pretty much documenting what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis.
Awesome, man. So documenting and know what you're doing, right?
Yes.
And you post a lot on LinkedIn. What do you think about LinkedIn?
I like LinkedIn. I more so reshare things, because I'm doing so many talks in conferences elsewhere. So that if someone else posts and me resharing it, like, I want that to live elsewhere. And then me resharing it is something where it's like, I'll get another secondary lift. Now, if you post original content on LinkedIn and it does well, then I would take that and go to Facebook, vice versa. Post something original content on Facebook, does well, cool. Go repurpose that on LinkedIn.
Awesome.
I've noticed that on Twitter, it's much easier to get eyes and interviews and access to people than it is on Snapchat, or it is on Instagram, or it is on Facebook, because like YouTube and Twitter almost have like larger or more discoverable algorithms, from my personal experience, that the growth there has been tremendous.
Twitter. Yeah, well, I think Jack Dorsey has like different values. He has like a mindset who it's not he's not really ambitious on growth, and more like on his values, right? Did you listen some Jack Dorsey podcasts?
I haven't yet, but I definitely will.
Yeah, man, he's like a guru for startups.
Oh, okay, for sure then.
And well, you spend like 100 million on Facebook ad. Maybe from those numbers you didn't make profit. Maybe you were learning, and also you make the fidget spinner store, right?
Yes.
So from those from the mistakes you have and spending $100 million on Facebook ads, what were the mistakes you make and to help others don't have the same mistakes?
Man, so we've spent more than that now, and I got very, very lucky in spending that. So we've worked with, doing this for 8 years. I've worked with 185 brands, probably closer to 200 now, and spent much more than 100 million. The thing that I learned the most is that like we used to value like hacks and tricks so much more. Like, we used to talk about like audiences and segmentation and diversification, and I never spent enough time in understanding good copywriting and good positioning of products and selling. And now, like, with the iOS 14 update, I'm having to rebuild how we look at content, and I'm having to rebuild how we structure content. I never had to do that before. Like, I could find a winning product and businesses that were being built that should not have been built. Like, there's no reason why our fidget spinners should have been a multi-million-dollar company, but it was. Why was that? Why? I don't know. Because it was the right time, right place, right product, right price point. Like, there's so many of these factors in there. And I think of learnings, of the losses that I didn't do and I still need to do more of, invest upfront early in content that's very specific and diversified. Second, do more tests on price points. Sometimes you're going to sell more at a lower price point. Sometimes you're going to and you make up that margin on volume, or maybe get better PO orders, or you're going to sell less at a higher price point. It's something that nobody spends enough time doing. And those are like the two areas: content and testing your price points are like key areas that I would focus on after spending all those money. I mean, it's going to change all now. I think even though I've spent enough money back then, well, all it really gave me is the ability to pick better products and brands or businesses. Like I have a very, very focused set of products and AOVs and areas that I know that my team and myself can win in, but I'm not necessarily going and trying a lot of experimental stuff.
Awesome. So price points, right? Right.
Yeah, price point testing is something that nobody does enough of.
Yeah. Well, I was talking with an affiliate marketer here in Latin America, and he said that his products sell more on $15 than $100. So he just started selling on $15, and he made like a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Awesome, man. And well, I tried affiliate marketing recently, and I just lose all my money. And what advice would you give someone who wants to start a digital business or e-commerce or affiliate marketing?
Oh
Because
man, wrong guy to ask. I don't know. I've never done any affiliate marketing.
and e-commerce, because you need a budget, and it's the same as starting a restaurant, right? You need some assets to start, and it's not like an agency. You just need service and people, right? But and they can lose all the money. So would you give an advice to start an e-commerce business, or where they can start, maybe wannabe entrepreneurs who are listening to this podcast?
Personally, I would tell them to start as an agency. Like you mentioned, there's no hard cost. You just have to have yourself and your people to kind of execute it. It's really allocating human capital. If you're going to start an e-commerce business, you need to have cash. Like if you don't have cash or somebody else's cash to run this, it's never going to work out. Even on the affiliate side, you don't have to worry about fulfillment. E-commerce is the hardest thing to get into because you have to know the product, you have to have the right price point, you have to build the website, you have to get the content. There's so many hurdles and barriers to entry here. And Shopify has done great there. ClickFunnels has done great for there, but it's a big hurdle. I would tell people, go work for an agency, go support another, maybe an e-commerce brand, go work for them. And then if you learn like, hey, I like being on the manufacturing side, or I like being on the creative side, or I like being on the content side, I like being on the marketing side. Then once you truly understand that direction and go deep in that way.
Awesome. Yeah, you need cash flow, right? E-commerce is, yeah, man, because you had your job when you were selling fidget spinners, right?
Yeah, I definitely didn't do it without, I was not confident enough to jump into it. So I kept my 9 to 5 for sure.
Awesome, man. This is I was thinking putting this on Patreon and charge for this interview, but I think I'm just going to do it for free because
Awesome.
I never charge for knowledge, man. What do you think about that? Just charging for knowledge.
I did a digital course. Like it's
and how did you start it? What was the mindset? I have to charge for this, because also before that you were just doing it for free, right?
So it depends on your needs of your life at the time. Like if you need money and you believe that what you're sharing is worth money to somebody else, you could charge. If you don't need money and you believe what you're sharing is still worth money, you can charge. It depends on the price point, right? Now,
Yeah.
there's times and effort, like for this conversation. Listen, like giving goodwill to somebody. Like I don't do podcast interviews, I don't do any talks often, but you like reached out, the timing made sense, and we said yes. So on charging for content, I sell a $2,000 Facebook course. People are ripping it off and selling it for $40, and guess what? I don't care. It doesn't bother me any other way, because that content's getting somewhere. It might help somebody else, and maybe they go like, oh, I've got this course for $40. I'm going to say thank you to Nick, and I'm going to send him a client, or I'm going to send him, I'm going to like him, I'm going to follow him, I'm going to check in on him. So it might pay me back in the future. So thinking about cash on a day-to-day basis hasn't been something that I've had to do for a very long time, and I'm very fortunate for that. But it was definitely making no money for a very, very long time.
Awesome. Yeah, that was a great advice, Nick. Thank you. And well,
Probably.
we're on the last questions right now. And what are some entrepreneurs you follow, and yeah, and why? Why do you follow them?
Ooh, great question. So let me pull up my Twitter because that's where I'm doing a lot of my following on. Second.
Or maybe, yeah, other entrepreneurs that right now are following you.
But Jason Portnoy is one person I followed tremendously.
Awesome.
My
How do you pronounce? Like, how do you type that?
Jason, Jason, Portnoy, Portnoy.
Okay.
Jason Wong, JASON, WONG. Great guy, building great businesses. And then two more. Andrew Foxwell, last name just like Fox, Foxwell. And then last one is Chris Mead, Meade. Chris Mead started a company called CrossNet, which is a dope product. And I think they're very good men and good entrepreneurs.
Awesome. He's selling volleyball, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or square volleyball.
Yeah. I follow him on LinkedIn. He's a great guy.
Great content.
And okay, so well, this is a question for someone on Facebook, and his question is, how can you avoid alphatic? How can we launch long-lasting campaigns, as I have noticed campaigns facing fatigue after a few days or sometimes week, but at the same time, some people are actively letting their one single converting campaign run for years.
Yeah, I don't think there's any campaigns running for years anymore. I think this used to be the story. The easiest way is they're probably making that ad in a 1x1, or maybe it's a square. What I would do is, if it's an image, duplicate that image and turn it into a 4-second GIF. So don't change anything, just turn that one image into a video. And then that one video, if that works again, turn that into a 4x5 or change the dimension. So if you have a winning creative, and it's an image, put it to a video. Vice versa, if it's a video, turn it to an image of like that main thing that you're trying to sell, and change the sizing of these. That's one thing that I think is people aren't doing enough of. The placements are so important. Second is, if it's fatiguing but it's been proven to work, add in a border. So you have your main creative right here, add in a border right around it, just either a color change or make it pulsing. What I mean by pulsing is like it gets thicker or thinner or on the outside, and we're seeing that that will extend the life of best performing older creatives.
Awesome, man. That was gold. That was a gold, man. Yeah, I'm launching campaigns for. I work in a SaaS company, and we're having a winner creative, and it's not working anymore as it used to be. So I'm going to try that.
Please, yeah, let me know.
And well, on copywriting, I didn't find courses, but more like books. Are there any books you recommend on copywriting?
Never split the difference. Never split the difference. And then the next one is, that's the core one. And then obviously, what is the famous one that everyone talks about? Shoot, I'm blanking on it. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head.
Awesome, man. Cash advertising. Did you read
There it
that?
is. There it is. Yep.
And also, I saw you're reading on your Instagram stories a book about self development.
Yeah,
And
it's like good key quotes, like really great quotes. It's every day I start this. So it's just about like, I don't know if it's going to show guys, but it's called "It always seems impossible until it's done," and it's just motivation. Like You open it up and it's got a great quote for you. And I just use that for throughout my day.
Awesome, man. Nice books.
Of course.
And this is the last question I always ask on the podcast. And what do you like spending your money on? Like, if it's not investing, just spending.
Good question. That's a fantastic question. So I'm because I grew up with not a lot of money, and I'm in California where it's like very expensive to live. So like money means a lot to me, and I don't like to waste it. The only time, and I don't consider it wasting, I consider it like investing in how I feel and investing how like my health is like when I do travel, if I can and if it makes sense, I will travel business class or I will travel first class because when you can land somewhere and I'm usually traveling for business, I want to be refreshed. I want to feel good. I want to get off feeling like $1,000,000. So if I can, I will spend my money extra on traveling very nicely.
Awesome, and traveling. And then what are some cities you really like? You've been.
I cannot wait. So in August, I'll be going to Kiev, Ukraine again. And I visited them early in the year when COVID just hit. And it's just a beautiful city. So I'm excited to go back. And then for the first time, I'll be excited to go back or go to Amsterdam. I'll be able to visit that at the end of August. But my number one city that has my heart is Barcelona. Oh my gosh, my favorite city that I will one day, my goal is to own a home in Barcelona, even if it's a small apartment. I can't wait.
Barcelona. And why?
It's similar to California in the sense of like it's always sunny, you're close to a beach, and it's a very young and energetic vibe. And people are always wanting to be out. The coffee seems great. And yeah, it's like a European California for me, except less ego and much cheaper.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and you're from Europe, Nick, or you're from the US?
No, I'm California based. I'm
Awesome.
born and raised in California.
I thought you were from Europe because you like football.
No, I wish. It would make more sense for me to be there, and I do look like a little bit tanner when I have a beard. But I definitely, I am. Whether it's good or bad, I'm an American.
Awesome, man. So I think that's it. Thank you so much for your time, Nick. And yeah, just that's it, man. Thank you.
No problem. I appreciate you. Let's have a good day, buddy.